Hey everyone, Dr. Brian Capra here from Genesis Chiropractic Software and Billing Network. I'm here with Dr. Fred DiDomenico from Elite Coaching. So Fred and I, great friends. We've built a great relationship over the years. Fred was actually my coach for a while I was in practice. And then now we work together where a lot of my clients use Fred's coaching systems. And here we are because we just, for whatever reason, more and more lately, we've had a lot of uncertainty and questions come to each of us kind of independently, and we all of a sudden talked about it, and we realized that we're both getting the same problems. And it revolves around the concept of going cash. And there's a lot of what that means to everybody out there. There's probably, if you ask 1,000 people how you do that, you get 1,000 different answers. So we decided that we're just going to get out here and do an impromptu. Hey, let's get out there and see how much interest there is in this, because we do get these questions all the time. We are able to steer people in the right directions to get the right answers for how they want to do things. So we decided to do this and just go over some of the concepts, some of the things we hear, some of the things you should be thinking about together. And if you guys are interested, we're going to put this on Facebook, I assume. You just comment, and we'll start to, provide you with more content so you guys can get going cash, your head wrapped around that. What do you think, Fred?
Well, yeah, I mean, you said it exactly, Brian. I mean, again, just a kind of quick review. We have people come to us, we do different things. And obviously, I refer all elite people to you, and you refer a boatload of Genesis to us because the combination together makes a big difference. So we're seeing, because we're solving this problem and we're creating not only compliant but cash affluent practices, then we also get these questions. So, the thing is, people think going cash is just not taking insurance and getting paid over the front desk. And it's just a heck of a lot more than that. And because, especially since you're in the compliance part, you see people that are going cash that aren't compliant. We don't want to use the word illegal, but they're setting themselves up for vulnerability, and we certainly don't want that.
Absolutely, yeah.
What's that?
Go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and I get people because they're like, okay, hey, you know what? I have my documentation, I have this, but people want to use their insurance. And, really going cash is really about the value you create with each person. So I mean, you bring compliance and documentation and where people can sleep at night. And the reason we've worked together anyway is Elite Coaching, we're corrective based and it's rehab based. Our clients probably get paid the most cash than any other group out there. They're providing a great service, but it's very common that people $200, $250 a week are making $80,000 a month over the front desk. But they're also, that could be a full CBP practice. So, but the ability to communicate that and then be compliant, and that when you have that foundation, man, you're free basically. So what this is really about is about confidence and freedom.
Yeah, I have to agree. So, as Fred, just so everybody listening, Genesis is a platform. It's a software cloud-based platform where doctors use it for scheduling and documentation and billing. We have a billing service. So we have over the years seen this, and you're right. A lot of your clients are up there because we get to see everybody of all the collections. They're up there with the highest practices in the whole of all the practices that use Genesis, if you would. The reason why what we're not is we're not a compliance company. So we don't teach compliance. So I'll make that clear. But I do have a lot of clients that come to us and ask us, how do they implement what their compliance person taught them? Right. And so over the years, we've dealt with all of them, all the compliance, the villas and the
gurus.
Yeah, you name it, we talk to them, and we've built a lot of things in Genesis just for those reasons. But here's what I realized is that when people want to go cash, they do it, I want to say the wrong reasons, because usually everybody's heart is in the right place. We're taking care of patients. We want to serve them. We want to serve our communities in a better way. I think a lot of times what they think they're going to not have to do because they go cash is one of the biggest mistakes. Like you said, you're trying to do something good and for the right reasons to try to make your practice more efficient, which you can do. But a lot of times they don't even know how much risk they're putting themselves at by making just the smallest, wrong decision and how to do this whole thing. So for example, a lot of times I hear doctors say they're tired of dealing with the insurance game, if you would. And of course, with Genesis, we make that so easy that there really isn't a game anymore. I mean, we're beating them at their own game at this point. So, but they want to basically remove the requirements that they're held to by going cash. For example, documentation. It's the one you hear all the time. Well, I talked to a doc. I want to go cash. Why do you want to go cash? It's nothing about patient retention or philosophy or, all of a sudden, by the way, when insurance started paying less, everybody said it was not philosophical to take insurance anymore. But it's not about it. It's not about philosophy. It's not about anything. It's about not wanting to document. So rather than ask yourself that question, I tell them, did you know that state boards require and most of them do, and they're moving in this direction. So it's going to be everybody, that they're all moving in the direction of having to document and bill the patient, keep a ledger at the level of Medicare. So if you're going to have to do that anyway, the question you should be asking is, that's fine if you want to have your patients submit claims to the insurance company, but the question you should be asking is, how can I document in the same way for every patient, not the same exact note for every patient, but the same way for every patient, so that I can make it super simple to do it right, and sleep well at night. Forget about who's actually paying you. It doesn't matter. It does not matter whether or not who pays you, whether it's the patient directly and they charge the insurance company or whatnot. State board requirements are up to that level at this point. So you might as well do it right. And how do you create a system that makes it easy for you to do that? So that's where we come in with Genesis. We don't give the advice. We just show them, all right, we've seen it a million times. Here's how you do what they're teaching you how to do with the compliance stuff.
Well, and so, and what people don't realize today, we know when we say we live in a different world, but we truly live in a different world. And you guys are experiencing that with documentation. And, it's because, like what you said, just because you don't take insurance doesn't mean your documentation is different, right? I mean, you get sued as under a cash patient just as easily. And, so, I mean, you can talk about that more. And then the next thing, we're dealing with a different type of person these days.
Yes.
So, and the good thing is, the American public is paying more and more out of pocket for healthcare every year. Everybody knows the insurance game now isn't going to work for them, but they want to use it because it comes out of their paycheck. And right. So one thing that we've done, in studying NLP and I've studied a lot of how does Tony Robbins get 8,000 people across fire? Every person has that inspiration inside them to do anything they want, whenever they want, when they want it bad enough. And that's what we've missed in chiropractic, because it's been all about fundamental sales. Hey, how's your back pain affecting your life? Short-term stuff. Then we haven't created the value. So what you bring long-term documentation. So the world we live in now is you have to prove why you're treating somebody now. It's not
regardless of who's paying for it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you have to prove why you're treating them. It's not the old days where you check the boxes on a travel card, right? And you didn't have to prove anything.
No, so it's just required because you're a doctor.
Yeah, I know. What concept, right? Why are you treating this patient 85 times? Oh, by the way, CBP has proven spinal correction for over 100 visits and justified it and won cases in court. I'm just saying. So, but the thing is, not only is that so important from your end because you have to prove your care, but also people are educated, man. You know what I mean? They know that if they're going to spend their money, it has to be value, because there's a lot of choices. And because we haven't done a great job as a profession teaching chiropractic as healthcare. Now, are there people out there who go, you know what? I'm very affluent cash. I got a boatload of people. And here's what I say. I think that's awesome, because there's always successful people out there. What we're looking for is when you're principle based and you have high standards, do you get 8 out of 10 committing to full care, and you get 8 out of 10 going into lifetime care? And so that's really what we're talking about, is there's a lot of people. The average is 20 to 50% commitment to care. That's the average in profession. The average PVA is 18, which means it's pain care. So as a profession, we're not doing that well. And there's people out there that are racehorses and they do all that. My question is, what percentage is getting 8 out of 10 in a lifetime? Because in elite, because we studied NLP and life coaching in this very specific application, which, by the way, corporations all over the world, they train their sales teams with life coaching. It's not traditional sales anymore. It's about relationship building and culture building. But when you do that, you know, and you can get 8 out of 10 in a lifetime care. I mean, it's very common that in elite, you know, people are making 30 to 50,000, 60,000 a month just on their lifetime patients over time. So when you look at that stability, and you still have to document for those lifetimers.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. It doesn't go away. I don't know where that started or if it was ever true, but it's not. Like, you know, one of the things, by the way, I will say too, again, looking at the statistics of practices that use elite, it's like the key to the whole thing is retention. You know, retention, and that means everything from a lot of perspectives. First of all, they're staying because they're there for their own inspiration, which I know you teach. But they're also getting great results because they're there longer. And because they're getting great results, they're referring other people. So when those people come in, they're already primed, looking for what you have to offer. So the whole thing is like a cycle that feeds itself. So, I mean, that's part of what you teach. So and I could see the numbers. But yeah, when it comes to this whole thing with documenting, where we're talking about cash and well, I hear this one a lot too. Well, I will just not document because I don't have to anymore, and then I'll just give my patient the super bill, and then they'll submit it to the insurance company. Guess what happens when the insurance company says to the patient, we've got 25 super bills from you, and this was not medically necessary. Please ask your doctor for documentation to prove medical necessity. What is the patient going to do? They're going to go to you and say, hey, you ever heard of a thing called HIPAA? It's my documents. I want them so I can get the money from my insurance company, like you said I would, right? So, okay, no, I don't have them, or I just make them up on the fly, whatever.
Or you can't, you know, you can even document, but like, well, you know, if you can't prove medical necessity, right, there's very specific requirements. And then just to interrupt you real quick, another thing, people are using insurance, and just because the new year comes around doesn't mean you can bill their insurance if you can't prove corrective care. And I get this all the time. I'm telling people, man, you can't do that. Or you're going to get that letter that says, oh, by the way, you owe us $600,000 for all these maintenance people that you can't prove was corrective care. And you bill the insurance just because they have new insurance and it's the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
So, can't do that. You can't say because I gave him a super bill, I'm off the hook. Because what happens when the patient tries to get your notes, and let's say that you give them to them. Let's say you actually create notes and give them to them, and they go to and they don't get paid. Guess what? Who they're gonna complain to next? They're gonna go to the state board, and the insurance company can still come and audit you. By the way. There's no prevention because you didn't send the claim. You're not off the hook for an audit at all. That insurance company will likely go and say, oh, Dr. So-and-so. Who else saw Dr. So-and-so? Now we're going to audit them and request notes. There'll be a case. You are now audited. And you took cash the whole time. Yeah. And you're going to have to fight it in front of the state board, which, if you ask me, is worse because that's where you lose your license. You don't lose your license. Blue Cross can't take your license. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they can take your money, but they can't take your license.
They can take your well, if it was your money, or it wasn't your money. If it was your money, if you proved necessity. If you didn't prove necessity, it wasn't your money. You should have had the patient actually pay for it for cash services. Yeah. Yeah,
and now you get it, and so the reason we're going through this now, there's people on there go, yeah, I know, and I'm doing it, and I'm sure you are. And we don't have a doubt. And then we look at people that say they're doing it, and you look at what they're actually doing. And I'm sure there's a boatload of compliant people out there. So we're not saying this is every problem. This is just a common problem. So we're not trying to make anybody wrong. We're just trying to bring this to you. And then the next thing is, the reason that you're bringing this up, Ryan, is you've seen these people get audited. We talk because, you know, our fingers on the pulse of people across the profession. And I'm sure chiropractors watching this and others too. We know people that have gone through exactly what we're talking about.
Friends, yeah. It's not a software. Like it's not a software problem.
No.
I mean, software will enable you to do this in a much, and I believe, of course, Genesis will do this better than any other software. Is create a process. Doesn't matter who's paying. It's super easy for you to show necessity, or if their patient's out of that phase of care, to transition them. I think we're the best at it. I have doctors that get, even in Genesis, but any system, it's happened. You hear it. I got the software and I got audited and it didn't work. Well, no, man. There's no such thing as a software that makes you compliant. You still got to do the work. My perspective is that a lot of times what's going on where you have doctors getting audited and losing, regardless of their system, but what's going on is they just don't have the right information structured in a way that teaches them how to do it in an easy way. Like, first of all, they don't even know why they're deciding like to go cash. They just went cash because of a really bad reason initially. And they didn't do anything to back it up. So now they're in a situation. And by the way, if you are right now, like, let's say, not compliant, and you could be in a whole bunch of different ways, that doesn't mean that if you got audited tomorrow that you have to wind up getting in big trouble. One thing that's really a good way to kind of stop that is to get a proactive audit of your own practice and get a manual put in, developed by a compliance officer that says, here's all the problems we found. Here's your plan to fix it. Your own treatment plan for your own compliance, and then you fix it. That goes a long way in your defense. I think, a lot of doctors where they are having a problem, or they think they have a problem, that they're just really burying their head in the sand. They know it's there, but they don't want to face it. Either they're afraid. It's like this horrible place to be. I would have to say, like, you're going to bed every night. I know you're thinking about that when you go to bed. Like, it's in there, and you're losing sleep over it one way or the other. That's got to be super stressful. So, the reason we're bringing this out is I can show you a way to do whatever your compliance officer says to do in a super streamlined way. Take insurance, super bill patients, just outsource the insurance, whatever the case may be, and focus back on what matters, which is what Fred teaches. Connecting with people, teaching the principle, getting them under great care, getting great results, converting them to lifetime care, and getting referrals. That's what matters. How do you do everything else in a simple way so you can just get back focused? And that's why Fred and I work so well together, because he has a great system for that. So, I mean, we're just out here trying to give you guys some information, some context of what's going on out there, so that you could take a step. If you want more information, we don't have anything really planned, structured, but we've had kicked around some ideas, bring in some compliance people to do some talks, some hangouts or whatever you call this, Zooms with us, get some more information in your hands, start to put together a structure to help you make a decision about what it means to go cash, not go cash, and how you're going to apply that to your practice. Technology, obviously, I could talk to you about how to automate certain things in your practice. So if you want that stuff, just comment on the video, and we'll start bringing people in that can give you more information. And it's not a moneymaker for us in that way. Obviously, I hope you use Genesis, and Fred hopes you use Elite. But it's a need. We're chiropractors. We care about what's going on in our profession. We don't want to see anybody get in trouble just because of a lack of clarity.
Well, and I think the most important thing, Brian, I mean, we're both principally based guys. Like, you started a software system because of a relationship that you lost one of your patients, committed suicide, right? And that makes an impact. I mean, I was an old philosophy DE guy, and the thing is, everybody counts. Meaning, and what that means is, the reason we're doing this is one thing I always hated when I practiced is when small things got in the way of a patient relationship where they would quit, and now we have another subluxated person in the world. So the real reason we're doing this is because we want chiropractic to be for every human, possible, and we'll do the best, and we all work together. And we don't want small things like documentation and super bills and misconceptions get in the way of relationships that leaves more subluxated people on the planet. So if we can get, if you have the confidence to consistently get 8 out of 10 under full corrective care, 8 out of 10 of those, and these are the stats that have been elite, 8 out of 10 of those into lifetime care, and you have the documentation and all the compliance that makes things smooth, how you can, if you're going to super bill, interact with insurance companies. So things like that, technical things, don't get in the way of a relationship that leaves another subluxated person in the world. And that's really what matters, and that's why we're doing this.
Yeah, and I mean, when it comes to Genesis too, it's like you said, it's everybody matters, but also every doctor matters. I mean, it's obvious that the patients, and that's what we're all passionate about, but we kind of self-sacrifice ourselves a lot of times. We do things that are not intentionally a lot of times, like we're saying, it's just a lack of clarity, but it's self-sabotaging. And for what I believe, what it's going to take, one of the things I believe it's going to take to get chiropractic to that level where we all know it should be, is our offices, all our doctors out there, you have to be as, we need obviously a bigger capacity, right? We'd all, I forget the number, I had it down one time, but we'd all have to see like 3,000 patients a week to see everybody. Every one of us, practicing or not, it's like something crazy. So we need a bigger capacity, and we need more doctors. One of the ways I think we're going to get more doctors more people to want to be chiropractors is obviously teach the philosophy, but it has to be profitable. You got to be able to make a good living at something for somebody to want to do it. So, to do especially this, it's not an easy business necessarily. So if you want to attract people to a profession, it's got to be profitable. Right, and that's where you come in, Fred, with everything you teach and making that case average that you have for a lot of your clients. Like, it has to be streamlined so that all these issues with compliance and documentation, which I think we did with Genesis, is kind of make it super streamlined and easy, no matter how you want to do it. Cash, insurance, all insurance, no insurance, whatever, it doesn't matter. That's streamlined so that it's not a burden on the doctor, the owner of the practice, and so that the business is scalable. So you can add doctors and you can see more patients and your capacity improves, and you make a really, really good living. So we attract more people, and we got to get more research, obviously. But
yeah, there you go, brother. So really, what can they do? Certainly you can email me, Dr. Fred, DRFRED1, drfred1 at msn.com. You can certainly go to our Dr. Fred page on Facebook. You can call 949-791-2986. And these are just for questions. Hey man, this is, we're just here to help. And there is feedback. How would they get a hold of you if they have questions?
Well, I would say if I'm assuming this video will ultimately be posted on the social media, so comment on, give us your thoughts, your questions, your concerns. Tell us what we were saying that's wrong. Engage. Let us know what you want. Maybe we can bring in some people that you really want to hear from. Maybe you have some questions about what we just talked about that you want to post. And it's great to post it in the comments so that other people can see it. It'll spur on other questions for other people, and everybody can see the answers in one place. So I would say comment, but obviously if you ever want maybe something more confidential and you want to email me directly, it's Dr. Brian, DRBRIAN, at GenesisChiropracticSoftware.com. You can always go to our website, GenesisChiropracticSoftware.com. You can see Genesis if you ever want to look at that. Other than that,
really, that's great. Comment, share, and based on your comments, we're going to be doing these more regularly. We'll bring on, based on your comments, or who we will bring on, and we're just here to make a bigger impact and give this stuff to you guys.
I think that's a good start. Hopefully you guys got your heads turning a little bit, got the wheels turning, and you can get engaged and let us know what you think.
All right, cool. We'll be seeing you again, coming at you again. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.